Don't forget homophobia. Bush was big on that. Yeah, but I'm not going to lie. The homophobia back then was not as vitriolic as the transphobia today. Like, right now, the mainstream right-wing position on trans people, and also largely on LGBTQ people broadly, is that they're like a cabal of society corrupting pedophiles who are destroying the West. Now, obviously, the Republican Party was anti-gay back in 2000, but if I remember, for the most part, with the exception of, like, the big religious, like, far-right preachers that you'd hear on the radio, usually their attitude towards gay people was more of a, it's unnatural, and I don't approve of that. And that was kind of like the line. There was this patronizing, well, we're here to support, what normal life is, and like other stuff is like, we're not for that. That's not what marriage is. That's not what like love is. But it wasn't the same kind of hyperbolic existential fear mongering. That was more back in the 1980s, back when the AIDS crisis and the Reagan administration was leading to like the most exaggerated degree of homophobic pushback, but it petered out over time, right? I mean, but now it's come back, not for the AIDS crisis, but for the existence of trans people. So it's, what are we talking about? We're talking about a few things. Reagan's fault, as always. As many things are, yes. Vaush, that's just civility, decorum. In material terms, it was just as bad. No, I disagree. I really think that, like, the policy extrapolation of the mainstream Republican position today is genocide. I don't think they were doing gay genocide in the year 2000. In 1980, yes, 100%. Because the official position of the Reagan administration was prevent the CDC from looking at AIDS to allow gay people to die because they thought it was a plague from God. In 2000, it was like they didn't like gay people. They were homophobic. I'm not saying they weren't. But the policy extrapolation of those positions was more stuff like don't ask, don't tell. Not like Republicans screaming into the microphone about how they need to eradicate the gay degeneracy. That's just not the vibe of like 2002, It was much more milquetoast. It was much more liberal, but now with the trans stuff, it's gone right back over to the society is ending, kill the degenerates, blah, 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 which probably isn't good. It was literal genocide with Reagan. Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure, 100%. There's also a lot more social stratification these days, whereas back 20 years ago in like 2003, basically everyone was pretty homophobic, but you would get a range of like homophobic but tolerant and homophobic but intolerant, where basically everyone thought that being gay was weird and gross, but there were like the liberal attitude was, yeah, it's weird and gross, but like, love is love, okay, like just don't bother people with it, and like, all right, you're a person too. And then like the right position was like, well, no, they shouldn't be in the military, don't ask, don't tell, if they don't find out, like, no, they shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't marry. Whereas nowadays, society has reached a schism where like 50% of this country is like the youth in our schools are growing up in environments where they meet non-binary people when they're in like high school. And like, then they go on social media and they're all saying like, this is gay, that's gay, but in a positive way. And they're all like half of the population is like culturally gay. And the other half of the population, it's more like 60-40 actually, is like, kill them all, kill the degenerates, extreme far-right anti-gay hate or anti-trans hate. So things are more stratified now, the GOP gay marriage acceptance rate over time. Oh, yeah, no, the gay marriage acceptance rate has been climbing up. I'm more concerned in like the rate of like, do you think society is ending because of queer people? Oh, got a little dip here. That's nice. On the morality of same-sex relations, from 71 to 64 in just 1 year. This is a pretty significant drop for 1 year. Probably just radicalizing the people who were like milquetoast on the right. Scroll down a little. Yeah, it's like all Republicans. I don't know if even the average Republican voter is that hateful towards queer people. No, I've said this before. Not every Republican is that far gone. I'm just generalizing here about like the state of things. Also, fuck, that's scary. Well, keep in mind, like, it's a pretty significant drop in the morality acceptance thing here, but the overall numbers are still pretty positively in our favor. Swagnar, same Vaush has never lived anywhere even a little red, so he doesn't really get the conditions most of the U.S. Why are you complaining about what I've said? What have I said is inaccurate? Lynchings of gay men were a thing in 2000. The one Idaho guy was mid-90s. Liz falling up. Please shut up, okay? Stop. You can't. I didn't say there weren't lynchings or hate crimes back then, okay? Oh my God. Do you seriously think that there's like any degree of comparable severity between the anti-gay or anti-LGBT attitudes of today or 1980 compared to 2000? Come on. You're like reading into what I'm saying. You're thinking what I'm saying is that like things were fine then. I'm not saying things were fine then. They weren't. But the broader attitude that people had with regards to promoting homophobia from the right was not the same as what it is now. It's just not. It's not. It's just not. I'm not saying things were fine then. You forget that Bush was pushing for a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage. What? Okay, I'm actually going to start banning you guys. What I'm saying is a fact. You can be mad about it if you want, but deliberately misinterpreting me and then smugly correcting me with information that obviously accounts for what I'm saying. Like, what? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why do you hate me like this? Yes, obviously, the Republicans in 2000 were anti-gay marriage. Why would that be? When did I even remotely suggest that wasn't the case? I'm talking about the attitude that queer people represent an existential threat to the nation and are degenerates who need to be destroyed. That is the current attitude of the Republican Party, and that was not the broad attitude of the Republican Party in the year 2000. They were still homophobic. They still didn't support gay marriage. They still thought that it was bad and morally wrong or whatever. They were still religious extremists. I'm not saying any of those things aren't true. I'm not saying they used to be tolerant. I'm just saying that the mood is shifted. I don't know why are you doing this to me? I feel like my statement here is fairly straightforward. I'm not rehabilitating the Bush years, okay? Okay, I'm sorry for yelling at you. But like, come on. Obviously, there's a difference here. Big difference between public politics and private life is the thing. The party has gotten much worse, but private hatred hasn't. Yeah, I'm talking about the party platform. I would say that the private hatred of queer people has taken a different tone, but privately, like, homophobes have always been like violent lunatics. Though I do think there's been a shift in the way that it's manifested. Schwarzenegger was governor from 2003 to 2011. I think he represents the last stop before the GOP shift into the genocide stuff. He opposed legal recognition of same-sex marriage, but otherwise he supported LGBT rights legislation, including civil unions. Yeah, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger fits in the same category as like Mitt Romney, basically. Though he is more progressive than Mitt Romney, where he's a Republican, you know, he's not like a super progressive or whatever, but he's very obviously not motivated by some kind of like underlying genocidal intent. In that respect, he's ended up being one of the cooler, like, post, you know, Republican, like, obviously he's still like a shit guy in a lot of ways, but you know what I mean. He's also directly addressed the increasing prominence of neo-Nazism on the right, which is pretty cool. That's cool.